Hello, beautiful souls. Debbie here, and I'm so excited you're joining me for today's show. As CEO of Up Vibrations, my goal with this podcast is to motivate you by sharing insights and also taking you along as I speak to knowledgeable people that I have found inspiring for me throughout my years as an energy medicine practitioner and channeler. I cover topics that I'm passionate about, all things under my three pillars of live, love, and lead. Live encompasses our planet, the food, exercise, meditation, your soul. Love, well, that begins with self-love, and that includes energy medicine, self-reliability, personal responsibility, spirituality, self-empowerment. Lead, this is how you're showing up in the world and how you are making a difference for the better. So tune in and listen up for this exciting episode to begin. But before we do, I have to read this disclaimer. This podcast and the topics discussed stem from my own curiosity and desire to learn and should never be taken as direct medical advice. I am not a doctor, dietitian, or any other medical professional. Please always consult your trusted provider regarding your health and your wellness. So let's begin. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Live, Love, Lead podcast. I'm really excited today to be here with you recording this. I have a special guest, and he recently came into my orbit to walk beside me energetically through a mutual friend. And so I love when the universe does this. I believe that there's no such thing as a coincidence, as you all know about me. So let me go ahead and read his bio and introduce you to our guest today. All right. Today we have on the show Bradford Tilden. Bradford is an internationally recognized composer, pianist, sound healer, crystal healer, and light worker. He is one of the leading universal white time healing teachers in the United States. He is a specialized spiritual health practitioner, helping people who feel lost, disconnected, and unfulfilled to find meaning and purpose in their life through inspiration, education, and activation toward true spiritual awakening and authentic divine expression. So I just love that. What an amazing, bio that you have. And I'm excited to get on with the show so that the listeners can get a better feel of what this is. And right now, today, we're going to talk about the topic that we had discussed was frequency. We both work in frequency. We're both energy workers. And so what I'd like to have you expel for my listeners today, Bradford, is what exactly is universal white time healing?
Sure, I'd be very happy to explain what universal white time healing is. It is an energy healing modality, and also pretty much a philosophy of life, actually, that was designed by higher beings who have been watching the development of humanity on this planet, and they designed it to help assist us to boost our conscious evolution, our healing, our relationship with Mother Earth. And the goal is to help humanity awaken, to raise our collective vibration, the frequency, so that we can consciously ascend to the new Earth at this time. It is a modality that is for the Earth, but it is actually of an origin beyond and outside of the Earth. So it actually has a lot of possibilities that earthbound modalities are incapable of accessing, so to speak. So it's very, very beautiful, soft, gentle energy, but it's very profound in that it really has its core with God, with light, with love as a frequency, and the possibilities stretch outside of time. You can access the past, you can access the future, all in this present moment. And so it's just an extraordinary resource, especially for light workers, but for anyone who really really wants to contribute to the growth of humanity's spiritual maturity. Let's put it that way. So,
So
yeah.
what would a session look like? Like what actually happens in a session?
The That depends largely on the level of training of the practitioner. The level one practitioner, on at all appearances, it looks like like a hands-on Reiki healing session. Most of the hand positions are the same. The practitioner goes and covers all the major places, and then they ground the body, and they balance the aura and the chakras. When you get higher up, you can do things such as psychic surgery, cutting cords, removing trauma from the aura, doing a deep clearing of, for example, the heart chakra. You have access to these forces of qualities of white light that do certain things, and a lot of practitioners can sit and put their hands on the temple of the person and do the majority of the work in an hour session just with their mind, their visualization, and their intention. And then there are the gemstones and the gemstone layouts that are part of it as well. So in my sessions, I incorporate the white time energy healing, the gemstone layout or two, depending on the person's intention, and then of course sound healing, because I'm a sound healing master. So um, any white time healer's practice is unique because white time brings out the individual uniqueness of that healer. Mine came through sound and crystals. Other people comes through art and art therapy. You know, they work with clients like that with the white time energy as well. So there are as many different varieties of sessions as there are white time practitioners.
Makes total sense because it's the same thing with any type of energy work. It's
Mhm.
what we bring to it and where our gift is that is accentuated. And we all have many different gifts and they're layered. So it makes sense that all the different modalities, as we continue to work on our
Mhm.
journey, become part of our practice. So I love that
Absolutely.
about it. My other question is, and I think my listeners would want to know this too, is how long do the results of that last after a session?
The results can last up to 34 or 35 days. There is something called a light tube that we can place in a person's body during a session, which acts as essentially like a rechargeable battery that you take from it over time, and it just feeds you energetically and supports you. And when we ground properly on the person, the healing does last at least about 34 days. So yeah, it's really
It's
good.
very, very different than the kind of therapies that I do together, depending on the trauma that I'm dealing with my
Mhm.
clients that are coming in. For most of them, the majority, and I've been doing this since, gosh, 1998 when I became a Reiki master teacher. So
Mhm.
I do psychic surgery, I do cord pulling,
Mhm.
I do Kuan Yin magnified healing. Like I do a lot of different modalities within the hands-on work. That's why I don't really
Mhm.
just refer to it as Reiki because it's Reiki and
Sure.
so
Yep.
what I love about that was I lost my train of thought.
The length of time it
Oh,
lasts.
the length of time it lasts. Thank you. Gosh. The length of time that it lasts for most of the clients that come in is usually about 72 hours. And
Mhm.
then they start feeling like the slippage of, and a lot of that
Mhm.
has to do with the habit of your thoughts and the habits
Mhm.
of, what you're doing, putting into your vehicle and how you are treating your vehicle. So I love that about it.
Yeah.
Um, Yay. So, okay. So I wanted, my next question is like, how did you find out about white light?
uh, I love telling this story. In fact, I love it so much. It's my chapter in this book that just got released on Amazon, the Energy Medicine
Congratulations.
Solutions. Jacqueline Kane came to me. It's 25 different energy healers who contributed a chapter. And yes, we hit 11 categories at number one. So we're an Amazon best-selling. Check it out. I don't have my physical copy yet, but my story, the story's not just about how I got connected to white time. It's a story of hope. See, I'm getting emotional already. Um, you'll read it. There was a very vulnerable moment in my life where I received uh, a life changing diagnosis, and the way that I responded was to throw away the idea of how I should live my life, and followed my true passion, and the universe responded and guided me in a short period of time to the front door of the head gemstone teacher of white time healing in the United States, who it's crazy. It's in the chapter. And to further the extraordinary nature of my coming into white time, I have this dream written down in a journal that I had a year and a half before meeting this woman, that was the exact encounter, and with a very strong message of abundance at the end of it. And so white time called me. It drew me to it. Even my higher self contracted to become part of this movement in this lifetime. It's one of the reasons that I incarnated here, was to connect with this knowledge, because it's within me, and I carry this knowledge from all of my past lifetimes of working with frequency, and deciding to electing to come back to earth and live as a human once again, at this time of rapid evolution, this shifting moment of consciousness, historical, not only on earth but actually in the universe, when you get really into the truth of what's happening on the higher levels of awareness, which is where I like to play. Not that I don't like the earth, I love earth. Earth is very beautiful, but there's so much more. When I was a kid, I knew there was more than the 3D, than the
Mhm.
imagination. It's not just the imagination. There's more. It's the real magic, the real alchemy of the true spiritual nature. And I had firsthand experience of that power when I had my spiritual awakening. And I offer that to anyone who's ready to dance in the infinite possibilities of.
So, like I know for myself, I had an out of body experience, a traumatic experience when I was 4 years old. I had open heart surgery twice. It was during my second surgery that I died on the operating. Well, they lost my heartbeat on the operating table, and that's where I had my out of body experience. And so, with that information, like I knew I was different, that kind of thing, and I had my own challenges and so forth. Did you have some kind of like you talked about a spiritual awakening, but was it something that happened like an out of body experience due to either an accident, or like how did it happen for you?
It's like, what domino is the first one that you hit to knock them over? Um, it no, to me, it woke me up. It got my attention to. There was this was a diagnosis that I received, and
Okay, so
it
it was
was
an
life
illness. It
it
was an
was
illness.
life changing.
Okay.
Yeah, it was life changing.
Did you
And
did you run like a high fever or?
I don't want to really get into it.
Okay.
It just happened, but I didn't. What happened was that, I mean, my whole life I've had peak experiences, and things that are unexplainable, to in normal context of things in scientific pursuits. But I know that I was visited by grays when I was a kid, and I was up on spaceships and being, I don't know, experimented on, or teaching or whatever. But I've had that knowledge, and I've seen beings outside my window, and spaceships in the yard, and all those things when I was a kid, and I was astrally traveling. And I remember I always had the experience before I learned about what it was, which was very important for me, to have that empirical reality of having the experience before I learn about something. And and then I guess it has to do with my dreams as well. But I had this, it's all really in the chapter. Like, I mean, I had a clear audience experience of crystal bowls 4 years before I discovered they existed. And it was all about saying yes to the opportunities, and not having any fear, and having faith in the universe, and deciding to go to massage school after my undergrad at Amherst College, where most of my friends were pre-law, pre-med, or got scooped up by investment banking firms. Oh, let's go get a massage therapy certification. Why? Because I intuitively was guided to do it, and I knew I was very good at that. So I always followed in my life the path of least resistance, what brings me joy and what I'm very good at.
Mm.
I was exceptionally inspired by anatomy and physiology in seventh grade to the point where I bought Gray's Anatomy, the actual book, and I read it and I learned all 400, I learned 476 muscles of the human body, and I could name all the bones and all of the parts of the different tarsals and femur and everything. And I didn't want to go to med school. So what use, but when it came to massage, I just, the program director pulled me in 2 months before the 9-month program ended, telling me that she saw right off the bat I was the most gifted person to walk through her program in 20 years, that I had eyes in my fingertips, and that I would heal many people. This is,
Mm.
and it's true. And it's just these natural abilities that I have that I honored, that I said, I can do this. I do this. I will do this. I do this. And my hope is that the life path I've chosen is one that will help people to see that they can choose their own path of remarkable path of their true purpose. We all have gifts, but people, society, our parents say, "Oh, you can't do that. You have to work in a cubicle." No, no, and the universe will provide when you align your will with the divine will. I
Yeah.
have 100%. I'm a living testament to that. The things I've been able to do in this life and the things that I've gone through, of course, we all create our own experiences. So I take responsibility for everything that happened to me, and I transmute it into wisdom and strength.
Yeah. And I think for me, starting this podcast, the Live Love Lead podcast, I do this because I've also had extraterrestrial experiences with UFOs. And there's not a lot of safe places to go to talk to about it. And so I also know, being an energetic being, having a human experience, being together with like-minded people when we meditate, that energy just expands exponentially with, the thoughts, the
Yeah,
collective thought expands, and
absolutely.
it has an impact. And so, you can change weather patterns. There's a lot you can do with it.
Hmm.
And so, science doesn't necessarily catch up with it. When I was going to school for psychology, it was the closest thing that I could get to that was close to what I really wanted to do, which was parapsychology or metaphysics or
Uh-huh.
energy medicine,
Mhm.
whatever you wanted to call it at the time, while people were trying to figure it out. And, it being a lone nut out there back in the 90s was, a little bit scary. You didn't just freely talk about these things. And I love what's happening now, where light workers, we did the hard work. We were the lone nuts. We were all over the planet. We were not connected to each other. And then along
Mhm.
came the internet. And
Mhm.
then along came this communication, where this vibration, this frequency existed on our planet that was elevated, so that now we are connected. Now we are finding each other.
Yep.
And more of the population is waking up. And they're waking up in a way. And COVID, I think, was a very big piece of that. For me, it was like, oh, finally, everybody gets to live their life, the lifestyle that I live. I work from home. I'm an entrepreneur. I stay
Mhm.
in my home office. And it's not about time, because we all know that time and space don't really exist. If you've done
Right.
any type of quantum physics work,
Mhm.
it's more about the intention setting and being in the moment and what you're doing with it, because you're building on the experience, you're building on the belief, you're building on you're changing the whole perception of what you are attracting to you. Because there's a couple flip terms that are out there, like, well, if you think you can and you think you can't, you're right. Yeah. But if you really look at that at a deeper level,
Mhm.
it's all about the idea that where you put your thoughts are what you're going to attract. And then,
Right.
right now, what we're doing, you and me as energy workers, attracting different people that we're hopefully calling them in, being like, hey, have you had either an extraterrestrial experience? Have you had a near death experience? Have you had a spiritual awakening? Whatever it is,
Mhm.
and you're looking for someone that will understand, we're here.
Yeah.
We're putting ourselves out there. We're taking a risk. Generations ago, up in Salem, people took risks. They did it more with, they were called witches, and it didn't turn out so good for some of them. So I think that this energy has always been within us. It's always been part of our civilization. It's just a matter of the evolution of when it's time for it to come forward. And I think with the terminology we're using is like the new earth is coming, and people are like, what the
Hmm.
hell is the new earth?
Right.
Well, obviously Mother Earth is pretty upset with us. She's been sending us to our room. We had the whole COVID experience.
Hmm.
And what that was a light shaking up and awakening for human beings to realize you don't have to do life the way they say you had to do it. You don't need to go do a university and get a 4-year degree in a traditional acclaimed, like, who's doing the acclaiming of it? Who's doing the creditation of it,
Right.
right? There are things that are credited, but they're in the non-traditional realm, but they still have validity.
Hmm.
And a lot of that is starting to make its way in the New England Journal of Medicine because there's more studies about it. I did a telesummit back in 2014, and I had a whole bunch of experts on it. And one of the best people that I resonated with was Dr. Norm Shealy, because he was an MD and did a lot of the neuroscience piece of it. And clients would come to him and they'd be having these issues. And as a doctor, they would be like, hey, have you ever heard of like kinesiology? Have you ever heard of acupuncture? And he'd be like, no, but I'll get back to you on that. And
Hmm.
he would have his staff look it up, book him an appointment, and then he would go experience it. And then
Hmm.
from that experience, he would be like, wow, I can see where that would be beneficial for this client, this patient, or this one. So I loved his ingenuity on how he was trying to implement it and bring it forward, because he had the validity, he had the credibility of
Hmm.
being a doctor in the
Hmm.
traditional allopathic system, but
Right.
he was operating in both realms, the allopathic and the holistic.
Hmm.
I believe in allopathic medicine. I wouldn't be here without it. Having open heart surgery twice, I was the first open heart surgery patient in the state of where I grew up. So I believe in it, but I believe that it's good to get us out of the crisis, so then we can then take a look at the holistic piece of it as what got me there? What do I need to shift? What do I need support with changing? Is it
Yes.
a mindset? Is it a behavior? Is it both?
Hmm.
Because there's practitioners like you and me who we refer people to each other. You are better at doing sound healing. I love sound healing. I love the benefits of sound healing. So I would refer to you. So I love, and the person that brought us together with her gifts, I refer a lot of clients to her because of what she does. So they don't necessarily, so we come from a mindset of there's collaboration. It's not, climb your way to the top. There's no top in this
Hmm.
mindset, in this new earth. It's more about collaboration. There's enough for everybody. If we
Hmm.
can all get away from the fear, if we can all get away from the whole idea that there's scarcity, then, oh my goodness, we just really open up our awareness as to the possibilities of what we can create in our life. So I just love that. And I love how the practice of what you're doing with the universal white time healing, I love that piece of information that you're bringing to
Hmm.
the listeners in order to really help them understand and digest. Like, some of them that listen to the podcast, they're already healers. Maybe this is giving them a little a kick of the door open into what it really is to be with a white time healer, and what does that really mean.
Hmm.
And some of the kickback that I get is, with everything being all inclusive, the whole thing with the term white being used with everything that's going on. And so doing a little research on that, I did ask you that question in our pre-interview, and I just want you to share with the listeners about how you explain that to me.
Yes, of course. It is, it uses the word white specifically when you consider white as in white has all the colors contained within it, the color white, and white noise, which is that static when the station is off, that buzzing, that static sound is all sound frequencies simultaneously together. So white noise is all sound frequency. So we have white as the all color, white as the sound, all sound frequencies. I mean, white noise, and then white time, all time frequencies together in one unit. And that's really one of the major differences and benefits of white time healing. I can take it a step further, and my guides are telling, no, no, no. It's you learn there's so much
Right.
that you start to learn and understand about the earth, humanity, the universe, extraterrestrials, angels, light beings, and God and the divine structure. And then it goes even deeper and higher and older and bigger. And so universal white time is white time that is calibrated for this particular universe.
Mhm.
So, and it's been given to humanity to accelerate our growth. And so if we were in another universe, there would be a different frequency calibration specified for that universe's expression of existence and consciousness. So the complete term is universal white time healing, because the frequency uh, comes from a source that is even beyond this universe, which makes it very powerful. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
and yeah, so and it's really, you get, the practitioner gets plugged into incredible vibration. People just like, they're like, Brad, like, they just feel when in the physical presence. Sometimes I can convey it. People are sensitive enough to feel it
Mhm.
on video. Just the frequency that I carry, right? You become a frequency carrier, and I go into the grocery store and I send, just my being emits this positive frequency that people pick up and take with them, where the fruit picks up and takes with them, and the people eat the fruit and get the frequency. It's this wave
Yeah.
of vibration that we are all you can either ride it, right? You can surf it, or you can deal with the undertow. But either way, it's going to influence you. And because
Yeah.
we have free will, we can choose to experience um, that influence in any number of ways. So
Yeah, and I think this might be true because it's all energy work, it's all frequency, and I know that people ask like, well, what does it feel like, when you're shifting frequency, or what does it feel like? What are some of the things that you experience? And I've talked to my hundreds of students that I've taught for 10
mhm,
years, and hundreds of clients that have come in and seen me for sessions. What they say is they feel lighter,
mhm,
they feel clarity, they feel brighter, and they're like, "Oh, it's almost like I have a skip in my step, like things just are kind of like are easier for me.
mhm,
There's less resistance." And that's the key right there, is there's less resistance. When you
mhm,
are in flow, you are in a vibrational frequency. It's usually around 528 megahertz is the tuning fork that I always bring my clients that come into the office. I always tune them. I tune myself every day just to get myself into my homeostasis so
mhm,
that I can stay in my well-being. So there are tools. We talked about gemstones.
mhm,
There's oils. So there's many different, the singing bowls. I love singing bowl sessions. There's many different frequencies out there that we can um, get an experience with. And I just want to convey to the listeners, whether you're new here or you've been listening to some of this, do yourself a favor and in 2023, go experience some new things. If you want to do life differently, you have to change your choices. And
mhm,
so you are always having a choice. You can choose to do the same old, or you can choose to be a disruptor in your life and do something different, whether it's get outside bare feet and walk on the earth bare feet and experience what that feels like, whether it's, not all oils are created equal. So I always, if someone wants to use an essential oil, there's a certain brand that I use just because the homework's already been done on it, the research has already been done on it to
mhm,
support it being a very pure oil that has been harvested and how it's been harvested and how it's been processed. So there's more to it than just the thing itself. Just like gemstones, just like singing bowls, there's always something more to it. It's not just the thing itself. It's how it's calibrated. I think
mhm,
calibrated is a great word to use because it's all encompassing about how that energy is coming together for the manipulation of it coming into a form, a physical form. So I love that. I love this conversation. This was so great. I
Thank
absolutely am
you.
loving this. So,
Yes.
can you tell my listeners, it will be in the show notes for people eventually, but just tell them if they're listening how they can find you.
Sure. My website is crystalmusichealing.com. And I've got my upcoming events. I've got my events page on there with everything, including a gemstone healing retreat in January in North Carolina that I'd be happy to see anyone who's interested in starting their journey with gemstones. Social media, my business page is also Crystal Music Healing on Facebook, and my Instagram is Bradford Tilden. My YouTube is a bit different. It's Muse of Aquarius, which is my musical moniker. But you can always just send an email to info@crystalmusichealing.com. I don't want to give my phone number right now. I'm not shy about it,
And I don't,
but
I don't recommend that. So
yeah,
if you did, I would be cutting it out.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
they need to search you out and do their research and decide if it's going to be a good fit. Besides what they're hearing with their auditory, like what they're hearing in that vibration, and they're taking into their being,
mhm,
they'll then go to the next piece and they'll see it and they'll read it, and they'll take it in with all of their physical senses
yep.
in order to really enhance what the feeling is inside of them with their intuition and their gut feeling of like, oh, this is somebody that I'm drawn, that I want to know more with. I want him in my circle. So I love that about
Mhm,
it. And I just want to point out to my listeners also, if they've noticed that the frequency when Bradford was talking, sometimes his electromagnetic field was shifting, and that's when you would hearing some of the breaking up happening. That happens a lot when I have other healers on the program, because it's a manipulation of in the physical form, and it just happens. And so there's the experience that you actually witness as we're having our conversation, and he's shifting in vibration. Or sometimes it happens with me. I do Zoom sessions with some of my clients also, because it is energy. It does travel. It doesn't understand time or space. So when you've been practiced and attuned and mastered the skills that we have worked on, that allows you the understanding and the capability to transform time and space and allow what you are bringing through from the universe out to the healing of what people are requiring. So it's a wonderful thing. So with that, I want to be very cognizant of the time. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show today. And thank you for the information. It will be in the show notes.
mhm.
And thank you to all the listeners. Please share the podcast, give us a thumbs up, leave us a review. We'd love to, that will help us with the algorithm to get out there and be seen and heard by the masses. So thank you again. And that's it for today. Until next time.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you so much for listening today. If you loved this episode and all things related to raising your vibration and living your best life, you can connect with me online at debbiesodergren.com. Check out my YouTube channel, Debbie Sodergren, and follow me on Instagram at Debbie Sodergren, Facebook page of Up Vibrations with Debbie Sodergren. I invite you to join me inside my Live, Love, Lead community. The link is on my website. You can always send me your questions or comments, or just say hello on social media. And remember, a shift in perception is sometimes all it takes to up your vibration. Until next time.